Welcome back to What They Don't Say. Today we are here with Susan Bratton, whose mission is to aid anyone who wants the kind of lovemaking that improves as you age. We know there's a lot of people out there who probably struggle with this. Yes. She's an intimacy expert that has over 34 books and programs that has actionable pleasure techniques and bedroom communication skills. She's a sexual biohacker, okay? Yes, sexual biohacker, who can help keep your libido thriving. But she's also a trauma survivor who has shown the ability to rebuild intimacy, as well as just shows that there's so much hope for people who have dealt with trauma. And we are so excited to be here in person with Susan. Thanks, Susan, for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm so glad you came to visit me today. And I'm looking forward to getting into all of your questions. And I hope that we'll do an incredible job. I have a feeling we will.
Me too. Let's get into it. Susan.
Yes, Lauren.
You teach heart-connected, conscious, passionate lovemaking.
I do.
And there are very few people out there who do what you do.
Yeah.
If anybody,
yeah.
Honestly.
If there's anybody.
Yeah, it's very niche. But in a world where we tend to stay away from having conversations surrounding sex and intimacy, how have you been able to really lean into this and create this career?
Yeah. Well, first thing, my career is that I'm an author of passionate lovemaking techniques and bedroom communication skills. And also intimate wellness, because anytime your parts aren't working, it's fixable. You just need to know what to do. And a lot of people don't know what's wrong with them. It hurts, or, I can't get lubricated, or I can't get to orgasm. Is there something wrong with me? There's a lot of that kind of like physiologic stuff. And so that's like one of the main areas. And then the communication and the techniques are really kind of like hand in hand, because it's great to know pleasuring skills. It's really good to have an understanding of how orgasms happen and the different kinds there are, and how to do oral pleasuring and different sex positions, and, breast pleasuring and kissing and touch techniques and all these things. But they're useless without communication skills.
Right.
And I think particularly for people who have had any kind of sexual trauma, the communication skills are like, I would say that and owning your sovereignty are probably the two most important things. And then the third piece of it is that the kind of the style or the brand or the type of sex that I like to write about, that I kind of create techniques for, is this heart-connected, conscious, passionate lovemaking. Those are the words that are kind of like my tagline almost. And the heart connection is that when we stay in our hearts, when we connect our hearts, the fear and the performance anxiety and the angst can be calmed down. And the conscious is presence. It's another way to say I'm in full consent.
Right.
I'm really here in the moment. I'm staying grounded. I'm staying connected to myself and to my partner. And then the passionate is that piece of it that's like, getting to the point where you feel that excited about your lover. Right.
Which is hard. It's a really hard place to get to, I think. To get past just the even like, the lights are on, they're seeing everything.
Right.
And I'm naked, and this is a lot.
It is a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. Sex is a lot for people who haven't had any trauma. It's an order of magnitude harder for people who have. And so the passion is the place that I want people to really get to with the techniques that I teach. Because until you feel that like grip of like, I could just eat you up, when you feel that, that's very cathartic.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of performative sex, which is what porn is, which is what we see in the movies.
Which is it's so fabricated and it's not real, but when we think that it is real, then I think that like plays into your own sex life, and it can be stressful. And you can feel like not good enough, and it can make you feel insecure about your body and things like that. You always want to have sex with the lights off because you don't want them to actually like fully see you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then lovemaking is there's lots of ways you can have sex. There's like role play and things like that. But lovemaking is an ecstatic trance state to me. Like that's how I would describe it.
Like a different...
It's a theta brainwave state. So right now, you and I, we're in our beta brainwave state. We're awake, we're aware, we're thinking, we're holding our viewer or our listener in our hearts. We're here co-creating together to provide loving support to move people toward their sexual potential. That's what we're doing. Alpha state is kind of your subconscious state, like when you're processing subconsciously. And theta is dream state, unconscious, like deep subconscious, almost unconscious processing. It's meditation. For some people, it's prayer. That's the brainwave state of that calm connection. And what's interesting is that sex, lovemaking, passionate, ecstatic, co-creative bliss is a journey and a path that you get better and better at. It's a state of mind, a state of being that you can access easily and more easily over time with practice when you have a good partner. And what's interesting about it is that it gives you the ability to actually touch source, to touch God, Gaia, consciousness, our connection to all living things. And when you can get through trauma to healing and get to these bliss states, you find a grounding, a taproot, and a connection to all consciousness that really calms you down. It's almost like an escape from the physical plane. And so like a lot of tantric lovemaking is...
Tantric.
What's that?
Not tantric, but tantric?
Tantra, either one.
Okay.
Potato.
Okay.
Tantric lovemaking uses a lot of modalities to get you into that bliss state.
Okay.
And so it's and that's really what I do, but I just don't use the word tantra because there are a lot of people who are religious and they think that, okay, if I'm religious, I can't do tantra because that's like some other thing that I'm not allowed to do. And so I just take away those words.
Right.
Even though I teach those skills too, feeling each other, touching for rapture, like I'm touching you for my pleasure right now. I'm feeling your energy and your youthfulness, and I'm enjoying connecting my body with your body. That is a tantric technique, is touching for rapture, not just touching to like make you feel good, but touching because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel loved when I touch you. And so those kinds of techniques are very, very good for people who've had any kind of non-consensual abuse, assault, even things like religious repression, slut shaming, not understanding, not being told how your body works, gynecological visits that have been upsetting for you. There's so many kinds of repression and abuse and anxiety-driven types of things in our sexuality. And I think a part of that comes from religions want to control us. And so they make sex this really weird thing. And then that just messes us all up collectively. And so how do we get back to the soul connection, the essential self, the divine pleasure of lovemaking and joy and passion and connection and all that stuff. So that's really kind of my jam, is that. And I'm not a therapist. I'm not a therapist at all. I don't sit and, work things out with people, do one-on-ones or any of that kind of stuff. I'm a writer. I have experiences, and then I draw the map so other people can follow it and find it and have those experiences too. And that comes from being a highly sensitive person. And when you're an HSP, you feel a lot.
all the time.
It was interesting. I was working out with my trainer yesterday, and he said, it is surprising. He said, how's your body? Because this week,
Not good.
I deadlifted 145 pounds,
Yes,
and I
let's
did.
go.
Yeah, I'm working on 160, which is my body weight by my 64th birthday.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And I did 18 pull-ups for the first time,
gosh.
3 sets of 6. And,
Yes.
and so he came in, he's like, how's your body? And I'm like, man, it was tired last night, but I'm feeling pretty good today. And he's like, that's amazing. He said, it's surprising how many of my clients don't even know how their body feels. And it's like taking the things that have been traumas or have been issues, like there's no tags in my clothes. Everything I wear is soft.
I was thinking about that just now. I'm like, your pants look soft.
Everything
your
is
shirt looks
soft. My couch is velvet.
Yeah.
Because when you're a highly sensitive person, it's a gift, but it's a blessing and a curse. And so when you are a highly sensitive person, you can really feel into what's going on. And I've gotten the ability to turn that into words and videos that people can follow to get to those places too. Because not everyone can feel so much. And if you've been abused, you often don't feel at all because you are blocking feeling, so it's how do you open up the feeling channels again so you can enjoy the feelings of pleasure and connection and love and all of that kind of stuff.
I feel like I'm very much the type of person that has blocked out feelings. Shannon can really attest to this. But then because I don't take that time to understand how those feelings show up in my body and how they're making my body feel, they then show up in all these weird other ways that are that create problems in other parts of my life, even if they're not related. One of my therapists, she said every morning, basically meditate, but when you're meditating, just think about all the different parts of your body and how they're feeling.
Do your body scan.
Yeah, do your body scan. And it's really interesting to sit there and do that and think I'm feeling fine this morning. I'm feeling okay. And then you sit there and you're like, no, my chest feels super tight this morning. So maybe I'm feeling stressed out, or maybe I'm having some anxiety.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is. But it kind of helps you. It does help you just figure out okay, I'm feeling this way. I can't necessarily know why, but at least I know it's there and I can acknowledge it.
Yes.
And that's super helpful to do, but it's hard to do. It's really hard.
It's called interoception.
Intense.
Yeah, you know how proprioception is where your body is in space? It's one of our senses. It's called interoception. And so for a lot of women who struggle to achieve orgasm, one of the very first things I teach them how to do is I like to say that, we have 2 sets of lips on our body. We've got our lips on our mouth. We've got our lips on our yoni. And yoni is the tantric lovemaking word for the female genital system, which is, it's not just the vulva and it's not just the vagina. It's all of the parts, all of the erectile tissue, the clitoral structures, everything. And so I like that word yoni. And she's talking to us all the time. But sometimes we're so dissociated from our body. We've shut down so much, we can't hear what she's saying. So we can't be sexually satisfied because we don't even know what we want.
Right.
A lot of women, not even women who've been assaulted in any way, they say, I don't know what I want. I just know what I'm getting is an id. And I'm not going to say anything because my partner will just, contract and emotionally collapse, and I don't want to deal with his bullshit.
And they can feel bad.
Yeah, exactly. So I just kind of suck it up, and I'm like, that's the opposite. You've got to create an agreement with your partner that you can say anything, and then you have to use the sense of interoception to feel what's going on for you in every moment. Because every moment, especially as women, our bodies are totally different. We're on a 28-day cycle, even after menopause. I haven't gone through menopause yet. I still have my period.
Really?
Yeah. Because I've been taking hormone replacement for 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I like to have my period. Some women are like, oh my God, why would you want to do that? And I'm like, I don't know. It just feels like it keeps me young. I feel vital. I feel good. I like it.
Yeah.
I don't think I could conceive, but it's that idea that you can listen to yourself and she is talking to you. And when you tune in, I often say it's changing the channel, because people get so worried. How do I look? Is my butt fat? Do I, you talked about turning on the lights, do I look ugly? Are my boobies hanging funny? Or, whatever. I'm embarrassed about my genitals. I've had some shame around that. And when you can change that channel from that worry to KLUV, loving yourself, you tune into that frequency inside yourself, and then you do your body scan and you see what her appetite is for the day. You know?
So I'm kind of wondering, there are people who really like physical touch and people who really don't. Like Lauren and I are not big physical touch people, and it's something that I've been trying.
How you doing with me touching you so much?
I'm doing really good, actually.
Shannon's like, Susan, get off of me.
That's not how I feel.
Okay, good. And we're sitting so, we have to sit so close. You're smooshed in the middle. Yeah.
No, it's totally fine. Good. But a lot of my life, my mom used to put her hand on my back, and I would
you didn't like
just revolt away from it. And I've been really trying to work on leaning into just like hugs are a good thing. Like being touched is a good thing. It's the way that people show love for you a lot of the time. Yeah. And so do you have any sort of thoughts on like if people don't like to be touched, not even in their relationship, how do you sort of move through that?
Yeah. Practice. I think generally humans crave touch. And yeah, everything in sexuality is a bell curve. Some people like a lot of touch. I mean, honestly, I'm the kind of person who loves so much touch. You could just pass me around from person to person and they could take turns snuggling me and I would be good. But I wasn't always like that. And so you learn how to feel comfortable in touch over time. And there's 4 kinds of touch. I learned this from one of my mentors, and it's an interesting and important distinction, especially for people who don't like to be touched, is to know that there are actually different kinds of touch, and you might like some more than others. So the first is nurturing touch. This is how we hold a baby.
Yeah.
That's nurturing. That's just love. That's just taking care of the baby.
Little muffin.
Yes. And then there's sensual touch. Oh, there's healing touch. So healing touch is like massage. My foot hurts, rub my foot. Oh, that feels better. And then sensual is, I'm not expecting anything sexual. Like what I was doing to you earlier. That was sensual touch. I was touching you in a really sweet and pleasurable way, but it wasn't sexual in any way. It didn't make you think, oh God, what's she doing? Touching me? Is she like trying to get on me or something? No, it wasn't that at all. And you could tell the distinction.
Right.
You knew that it was a safe touch. And so one of the issues that many people who've been abused have struggle with is that everything feels like a sexual touch because they've been touched so inappropriately.
Right.
It's important to understand that there are people who can touch you safely. And the more that you can be in a safe environment and know where your limits are and say, hey, not that spot. That spot isn't right for me. I don't want to be touched there at this point. But these are okay. These touches are okay. That really helps give people some boundaries around what makes you feel comfortable and uncomfortable too.
Yeah, that's so true. I feel like we kind of just put touch into one bucket.
Yeah.
And you're like, I just don't like to be touched, like at all in any way, shape, or form. But I like how, you have kind of separated it out and be like, hey, like, I like this kind of touch, but this kind of touch, not so much. Or maybe it's like day to day and it changes. But I like kind of being able to categorize them a little bit more instead of just saying, I just don't like to be touched at all in any way. Yes.
And when you said it changes day to day, that is how we are. That's normal. That sometimes you want heavy touch, other times you need very delicate touch, other times you don't, you're done being touched and you just don't need any more touch. Other times you need to be held. And you know that when you're tuned into K-Love, when you're tuned into that interoception of your body. She'll tell you. She's always, wah, 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 wah. She's down there talking to you all the time.
It's just whether we're listening or not.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it's an honoring. It's really an honoring, that listening, an honoring of ourselves.
We've kind of talked about this idea of like listening to our bodies, and we've discussed shame before a little bit as well. And I've had this weird thing happening recently, like in the past 2 months maybe, where anything sexual just makes me feel so gross and like dirty for some reason. And I have never really felt that before ever. And so like all of a sudden it just like popped out. And like I don't have any sex drive at all. I don't like care about it. My partner is like, are you okay? And I'm like, I don't know what's going on with me right now. And then I just am like, I just sit there and I'm like, sorry, like I don't know, but I just like do not care about sex because it makes me feel like bad about myself. And I don't know why. And I'm sure that's something that you have heard of before.
Yeah, sure.
But do you have any advice for people who are kind of feeling that way, and maybe it does feel like you're kind of stuck, you know, and like ways to move out of that?
How do you define sex?
Like anything, whether it's like oral sex, just like anything where your clothes are off and you're like touching each other. Yeah.
So you don't want to do any of that right now.
Any of it.
But in the past you have.
Yes.
You've been okay.
Absolutely.
And right now you're not.
Yeah.
And has anything else changed?
No.
Is there a possibility that for you right now, you're a no in a way that you're establishing your sovereignty, where you want to know you're still loved, even if you don't feel like being a sexual being?
That is such an interesting and great question. But I do truly know that even if I was like, I don't want to have sex for a while, my partner would still love me unconditionally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not about your partner, though. Maybe it's just about you.
It's absolutely just about me.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe
I am
it's
always the problem.
I don't think you're always the problem.
Well-
I don't think you're ever a problem. I don't think you're
Thanks,
ever
Susan.
a problem.
Thanks.
Why would you ever be a problem? How could someone so precious and adorable and kind and caring and sweet,
You're making me blush.
how could you ever be a problem? But I kind of think maybe there is something in there that's like, you need to hold your ground right now.
Maybe, yeah.
And it could be a control mechanism around some other aspect of your life that feels not in control. And this is something you can control. And because you've been controlled in negative ways around your sexuality, it's a way that you can fight back. So I wonder, is there another place in your life where you're feeling a little spun out, where this is a control mechanism that makes you feel a little more safe?
You're asking really great questions here.
You weren't expecting to get all of this, were
No,
you?
no, not at all.
Well, and I feel like it's quite interesting too, because you didn't grow up thinking that sex was bad. Like, it wasn't really a discussion, but I'm
Right.
not the expert here, but my general thought is like, oh, if you feel gross, maybe you grew up thinking that sex was not okay. It's like, I grew up in a very religious household, and I mean, my mom doesn't really know that I'm here right now. But sorry,
No, it's okay. I do think that can be that feeling of shame that just comes from being a woman and being told that you shouldn't be sexual, and if you are sexual, you're a slut. And we've all grown up with that notion. And I didn't really grow up in a house that was like repressive in that way, but we didn't talk about it either, and it's not something I would really ever talk about with my parents. I am a control freak. Like, I do like to have control over all these different aspects of my life, and I do exactly what you said. Like, if I don't feel like I have control in this area, I will make sure I have control in this area.
Right. That's why like eating disorders are a control mechanism around that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I mean, my life has like changed a lot recently.
Okay.
So
If your life has changed a lot, it may be a way for you to be more stable, to not be disrupted by any other person getting in your space.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, sometimes I do have this thing where guys are a distraction and they're bad.
Interesting.
And I need to focus on like my career and doing X, Y, and Z. And so part of me does wonder if that that does play into my sexuality a little bit.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, having sex is a waste of time. You should be doing all these other things instead, or something like that. Which, you say that out loud, it sounds ridiculous. Like, that sounds so silly. But I do hold on to that notion so hard of guys are a waste of time and there are better things to do. And, you know, I can be focusing on X, Y, and Z that matter so much more. Maybe, like, in that sense, I'm trying to gain some sort of control.
Control and prioritization.
Yeah.
Trying to navigate your life in a way that feels like you've got some forward momentum, that isn't things that are pulling you back.
That's it.
I think that could be you're doing some new things and you want to keep your attention on where you're going. This is another interesting thing I was thinking about because I knew we were getting together. And that is, and I joked that I said after you, it's a Saturday, and after you leave, I'm going to wash my face and put on my jammies and scroll social media. And one of the things that's happening in social media right now is this groundswell of hatred toward men.
You were
just talking about this
yesterday. Yeah.
And women we're connecting the dots on how badly we've been traumatized, primarily by men.
Right.
99% of the time, it's men who traumatize us. And then when you also look at where so many of the men are that traumatize us, they are in positions of power. Either they're our father, stepfather, uncle, brother, or they are our pastor or our minister, or they're our principal or our youth leader or our coach or the police or some authority figure.
Right.
And interestingly enough, too, most of them are white men as well. And I was thinking about, if I were to, now that I'm in my 60s and I have, the first time I was sexually abused, I was probably 6 years old. And I was repeatedly abused for years and years by my step-parents, both my stepfather sexually abusing me and my stepmother emotionally and physically abusing me. Then I had everything else happen to me that could happen to me in the world of dating in my 20s and things like that too, all kinds of terrible, like all the bad things that happen. And now that and I've always been pretty much heterosexual. But lately, I have become what I call pansexual. Pansexual is, I don't really care what your gender expression is.
Right.
I'm all about, do we vibe? And I've been married to my husband for 34 years. And the reason that I married him 34 years ago was because, if I think about it now, it was that his nervous system made me feel safe.
Yeah.
I mean, you met him for a second and you realize
he's wonderful.
He's calm.
He's so calm.
He's easy. He requires nothing. He is
Except for you.
He's in support and service. And that's been really good. And in my 40s, I was in my 30s when I married him, and in my 40s, we went through a really rocky time because I was avoiding him for sex, because I'd had intercourse with him for 11 years. And I had never had an orgasm from it. I had this, this was like the 90s. And so I had a rabbit vibrator that was like really old style, like an OG 1.0 rabbit vibrator that I could have an orgasm with. So it wasn't like I was anorgasmic, but I didn't have orgasms from intercourse. And after a while, I didn't want to have sex with him because I felt like there was no benefit for me. I felt like he was kind of getting off inside me. And I didn't like it, and I'd already had so much abuse. And so it almost ruined our marriage. We ended up going to therapy, and we also ended up going to sex workshops because we didn't know if it was all my trauma issues or if it was also that we didn't know what we were doing, and it was both. We didn't know what we were doing, which is why I think learning how to be a good lover is so helpful. Somebody needs to tell you what to do, and tell you what to do in a way that is female forward pleasure. The way the female body works, not the way the male body works. The male body is very simple. It sees a boob, it gets excited, it gets an erection in 2 seconds, and it can go inside you, and it can have an orgasm, and it is very easy and happy.
It's awesome.
And that's great, but that's not women. We're not like that. We're much slower to arouse, and we're not necessarily orgasmic from anything. When we start, orgasms are a learned skill. No one gives us time to learn them. And we were talking before we started about how much censorship I get teaching passionate lovemaking techniques. Right. I'm shadow banned for passionate lovemaking techniques.
She's trying to make your life better.
Exactly.
And your relationships better.
So everything is censored except you can go see all the porn you want. You can watch movies where, he rips her top off and plunges inside her kind of thing, and it's like, it's not what women want. So we never even see what women want. We don't even know what we're missing. And when my husband and I learned how to have great sex, and we came back together, it was a renaissance in our relationship. I finally started having orgasms from intercourse. It really was so wonderful. And that's when we decided, I really want to spend the rest of my life teaching people how
to do that,
to achieve this, these are just learned skills. And he always made me feel safe and always protected me. And even when he was a little boy, his nickname, his family teased him because he would lock all the doors and things like that. They called him, to make fun of him, they called him Super Safe. That's why I like that man, because he kept me safe, because I was never safe.
Yeah.
And I loved him. And even now, we opened up our relationship because it was like, wow, we're having such great sex. What would it be like to have sex with other people? And that let me learn and have more experiences in safe ways, because he was always there to make sure nothing ever happened to me. And so I've always been protected in my relationship. It's been a lifelong coping mechanism that I don't feel bad at all about. That's like, yeah, I had trauma. I need protection. I want my husband to protect me. And what's interesting about it is that now that I'm in my 60s and I'm much more confident, I'm more sexually self-confident, I'm having relationships with women and gender non-binary people. Like, that's not really what matters to me. It's the vibe. And I was thinking about how so many people who are traumatized by white men. And I was thinking, boy, if I started over again and I wasn't so lucky to find my husband, I might be happier being with people of color and people who are not necessarily masculine presenting as a safer alternative to begin to find some sexual connection and pleasure. And I was thinking about social media, to bring it all back, how we're just ganging up on the masculine right now as women on social media because we're just so pissed at how they are such predators and we cannot be safe around them. And all these people in power and all this stuff that they do is terrible. Like, we've got the grabber in chief in office right now. Like, I mean, it's just not safe to walk in the world. And I was thinking about how I feel bad for a lot of men out there now because they are safe and they will keep us safe and they will take care of us and they won't hurt us. But boy, learning and risking trusting someone you don't know with your heart and your body and the delicacy of being an abused person. Yeah. Man, it's a big risk. And I just wonder, maybe it's like one of the things you can do is start off with sensual friendships with people who maybe aren't those white men in power positions to lower your risks. Like, would that be good advice? Would I tell my own daughter, if God forbid she went through what I went through, would I tell her, maybe avoid frat boys and, those types of people, those people who think that they're special or more important or powerful because of the body and skin color they have, and it's like, I'd steer clear of that shit for a while. I'd be very careful with those people because they have proven that they're the dangers, but they're not all.
No, and
I've got a wonderful husband who's taken care of me for 34 years. Yeah. And we still process my abuse. Three years ago, maybe, or so, maybe 4 years ago, one of the things I was working on was cowgirl sex position. Do you know what that is?
Yes.
Girl on top.
Yeehaw. The best one.
Girl on top. I think one of the reasons why it might be one of the best ones is that we have a lot more physical control over where our body is in space. Yeah. What the penetration levels are for having intercourse.
The
tempo.
Say temperature.
Yeah, the tempo.
The temperature.
Yeah, the tempo. Yeah. All of those things. And so I was learning how to give myself orgasms in cowgirl style with my partner, with my man, my husband. And I just had this epiphany where this was another thing that happened for us when we realized how much my abuse was making me dissociate from sex and making me just like leave my body and not be able to have orgasms and not enjoy sex was we became radically honest with each other. I just started telling 100% of my truth. Like, when you enter me, it makes me feel bad. I love you, but when you put your penis in me, I go, oh, and that it's nothing to do with him, but he has to deal with it, and so we worked on it, and I would like, woo, would dissociate immediately. I would just leave. I would leave the scene.
Yeah.
And so he would work to make me come back to me.
What does
Come
that
back.
look like? By physically saying, come back to me? Or
Yeah, he would
Okay.
just, he would hold me. He would stop. He would slow down. He would say, come back to me. Stay with me. And he helped me learn to stay in, to basically transmute the uncomfortable experience of being penetrated into remembering it was with him and I was safe.
Right.
And then that was what let me start to become orgasmic and things. But when I was doing the cowgirl thing, like, in my 60s, so like 30 years after I'd started having sex with him, one day we were doing a sex position where I like to get my butt right up against the edge of the bed and he stands on the floor and he penetrates me and kind of, I can put my foot on one of my bookcases beside my bed and then I'll like lay the other one on a pillow or whatever and then he'll be inside me. And I felt that feeling again, like, when he goes in, I go down. And it happened when I started doing cowgirl and I was like, I like cowgirl because I'm in control of the moment of penetration.
Yep.
I'm controlling it,
Yeah.
not him. And so I said to him, I think most of the time what I want to do is start out our lovemaking with me on top so that when you're coming inside me, you're going to be going inside me, I'm in control of it.
Yeah.
But then after that, I'm fine. It seems like that, it's like I got to get over that hump of that initial moment. And then I'm okay. And I did not even discover that until I was 60 years old after being, assaulted as a child over and over again. So you end up finding coping mechanisms throughout your life that help you, metabolize the trauma. You never stop metabolizing the trauma, but you can become aware of it and you can manage it instead of it running you.
I do really like that because it really is a very simple thing to incorporate into your sex life.
Yeah.
And I agree with you because I've struggled with this very same thing.
You have. Yeah,
Yes,
I bet
absolutely.
it's so common.
It's so common.
Yeah.
But then when you find those little ways to feel like you're reclaiming your control and like your power in the situation, it completely transforms sex. Completely. Yeah. Because then you remember, oh wait, like I can be in control too. It doesn't always have to be the guy. Like I can do that. It's so simple, but it's so effective. It really is. Yeah.
Another thing too that I've been kind of learning recently as well is when I was younger, I was more what you would maybe call in like the feminine receiver mode, where I expected my partner to kind of like have sex with me, do like run the show. And as I learn, I think this is another reason why learning bedroom pleasuring techniques and communication skills and gaining more confidence helps you overcome trauma. And that's because over time, as I got more and more confident, as I started becoming multi-orgasmic, we have an expanded orgasm practice, which I'd like to tell you guys about because I think it could be very interesting.
I'm here for it.
I
want
want
all the tips, Susan.
Yeah, all ears.
One of the things that has happened over the years is that, and I think this also has come from me moving more and more and more into my power and sovereignty. And that comes from the confidence of maturity. And your sexual development and your personal development are two sides of the same coin. If you keep trying and having sexual experiences and learning new techniques, you have better and better sex. Your body learns the pathways. You activate sensation. You transform numbness, pain, and shame into pleasure.
I like that.
It happens up here, right up here in your brain. This what is it called? oh God, I can't remember the name of this little spot
I was
in your
hoping
brain.
that you were going to say one that I knew.
I
I
know,
don't know.
Corterius singlix or something. I don't know. And what's interesting about it is that you know how they say your brain is your biggest sex organ?
No,
Yes.
I hadn't heard that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of a common thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I
Okay.
think most people think it's because, maybe it's like dirty talk or something like that. But the reason it really is because it's the sensation processor. The sensation is processed up here when your genitals are touched. And when you're touched on your outer labia, it's a different location than your inner labia, different location than your clitoral shaft, than the clitoral tip, than the portal, the little entrance, and inside the vagina, all different places, all different locations. And when you have shame and pain and numbness, the more that you can touch any part that doesn't feel good to you in one of those ways with loving, trustworthy pleasure, you begin to process it and feel it, and then it starts to turn into pleasure. So where women are like, I'm totally shut down, I can't even feel anything, the more that they can just slowly be lovingly touched, the more that opens and processes as pleasure. So that's another, I think, really important part. And what happened for me, I started out not really being able to have any orgasms, and then I started learning one, and the one that really helped me become very orgasmic and have more confidence was G-spot release, G-spot pleasuring, the goddess spot, which is inside the vagina on the roof of the vagina and almost curled around like you're tickling the back of the clitoris back there. And it's where we hold a lot of our armoring, our sexual armoring.
Protecting ourselves.
Protecting ourselves.
Okay.
And we have what's called our enteric nervous system. And the enteric nervous system is in your womb, in your yoni, in your genital structures. You have memories. You have wounding memories. Whether you can access them rationally or not, the trauma is in there. And it seems to hold in that particular area behind the clitoral structure, above the vagina, in this little area, there's like all this memory. And when you can get a partner who will stroke it lovingly and release it, I remember when my husband did this for me, I can remember I would cackle like a witch. I would crow like a rooster. I would make trains almost sounds like a freight train, like a like that kind of stuff. It came out of me.
It's like you're releasing all
It's like
of this.
when you get a massage and people say you like hold stuff in different parts of your body, and then you get a massage and it like gets released.
Yes.
And, like people will like start crying.
Yes.
During massages.
I did a lot of crying. The tears would come and my husband would just hold me while I sobbed. And that's the thing. For many of us, and this is where I go back to, men are not bad. Some men are.
Right.
But men are not bad. They can be, in many ways, our salvation. They can be our healer. They can move our trauma with us, through us, and out of us when they love us and they know how to do the sensual, the nurturing, the healing, not just sexual touch.
Right.
And so over time, as I let go of trauma, I gained confidence. I moved from being the feminine in receivership to being confident to be more of the person in the driver's seat. And when I got into the driver's seat and I started being like, oh, I'm going to do the penetrating here. I'm going to be in charge of the, the initial penetration. That was really helpful for me. And then I was able to move from there into this, I'm bringing us all the way back full circle, this erotic flow state of ecstatic bliss where there was no masculine, feminine, there was no giver, receiver. it was just whatever was occurring between us, and it was so flowy, and it was no longer masculine or feminine.
Something that I was thinking a lot about while you were talking was, how you had communicated with your husband that I don't feel good when you put your penis inside me. That's not an enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who is so afraid to even talk about sex? And this is reminding me of one of my friends. She recently went home with a guy after being at a bar. And the next day I was talking to her. Yeah, a little bit scary. I was a little bit nervous, but ultimately you have to let the birdie fly, let him do.
Right.
And the next day I was talking to her and I said, well, how was your experience? Did you do anything? And she said, oh, it was fine. It was fine. And I said, okay,
You're
well,
like, not fine.
Yeah, I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
not good.
that's not fine.
And she said, well, he asked, can I do this? Can I do that? But he didn't actually do anything for me. And I'm like, okay, well, how do you feel about that? She's like, oh, it's fine. Like he had sex and he finished and it's fine. I'm like, well, they're supposed to do something for you too.
Right.
And, that was a scenario where she didn't even really realize that, it's okay to be receiving. And obviously you had talked about how ultimately you want to get to this space where there's not this giver or receiver. It's just all one. But what about people who are so uncomfortable talking about sex and don't even know how to begin that? What would you say to somebody in that space?
There's a couple of things. I would say the first is that if you are unable to speak on your own behalf, it's probably not a good idea to have sex with people. Because you're just putting yourself in harm's way again and again, where you're being used for getting off. You're being masturbated inside, and it's not getting you anything. You're actually going backward by not being able to champion yourself and know what you want. So in that particular case, I would probably work with a therapist who would help, frame some language. First of all, it would be really helpful for her to understand what pleasure looks like for a woman. It would be really good for her to do a lot of solo pleasuring herself. And I like vibrators. I recommend them. And I recommend having a lot of different kinds. If you saw my bedside drawer, it's like ring, 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 ring. I got a lot of them.
I feel like you'd have a closet.
I have many closets. I can even show them before you leave.
Please do.
You can look at all my stuff. I like that because we go back to singular cortex. That's what it was. We go back to the singular cortex and activating different areas of our genitals so that they all feel good instead of numb or painful or shameful. And you can do that with sex toys. And you can do that with different kinds. You can use an air stimulator. You can use a rabbit vibrator. You can use a thruster. You can use a G-spot wand. There's a lot of different things you can use. And they all activate different things. And so then you're starting to have a lot more pleasure. The pathways are starting to work. It's like, okay, where there used to be one little signal, boop, boop, now there's there's a whole, symphony. It's like the sound of a harp, and that's all going to your brain and you're feeling all of that because you've activated it yourself.
Yeah.
So once you begin to understand how lovely your own pleasure is, then when you're with a partner, it's easier to have pleasure because you've established the pathways. Now they're working. Now they're activated. Now they're turned on. The lights are green. And so then when you're with a partner, you can say, this is the kind of touch that I'd like now. Today, in this moment, I need you to go a little harder or a little softer or a little higher or a little lower. You'll be able to, because you've now connected your brain to your genitals and you can feel what she's telling you. So I'd say step one is that. Step two is understanding that in every moment we want something different. Where in one moment we don't feel like being touched, and in the next moment we're like, actually, I wouldn't mind having a hug now.
Yeah. I relate to that a lot. Yeah, there's so many times where I literally say, I don't really want to do anything sexual today. I'm good. And then 10 minutes later, I'm like, actually, please jump on me right now.
Yeah.
But you know what that is? Because I have done that too. And I think that the second I say that, then I'm like, there's no pressure.
Yeah. Right.
The pressure's off. Like, they're not going to try to sleep with me or anything like that because they know that that's not what I want right now.
A lot of times, especially when we're with men, they think they need to, get us going, right? And that's actually the opposite, especially if you've been traumatized. You need to be made to feel safe and you need to relax. And so by not having the pressure, you can actually relax, and then there's no stress that's holding you back, and that allows your arousal to begin to appear. And then if you get a lot of good holding and pleasuring, and there's no pressure to have intercourse or do anything, you're not there to provide anything, you're there to interact with, to see where the two of you want to go together in that moment. And every moment is going to be different every day for every person, especially in the female body.
Yeah.
So the combination of the relaxation and the lack of pressure or direction and allowing yourself to find your way. I mean, I think one of the reasons I'm so much fun to have sex with, and I love to brag about that now, it's particularly nice after so many years of not being fun to have sex with. I think one of the reasons is that it's always like gonna be interesting to see what my yoni wants. What's that yoni? What's she up to today? And I like to give her her head. She gets whatever she wants. She deserves it after what she's been through. That little girl gets anything and everything she wants. And she just has to ask for it, and we're a yes. And sometimes she's a kitty cat, and sometimes she's a lioness, and sometimes she flips back and forth throughout the whole date. And I think that's what makes it fun and exciting, is it's not a routine. It's not like you must. When women have been abused, even when they haven't, but they've had repression, which we have in our society, they say, I have this one way I can have an orgasm, and I have to, like a lot of husbands will write to me and they'll be like, my wife will only let me do this one thing with her. And he's like, what? How can I get her to try some other stuff? And I'm like, well, what she's doing is it's her sure thing, and she's performing, and she feels performance anxiety. And so this is the only way she can get to what she thinks will make you happy. And so you have to assure her that there's nothing that she needs to do, but that but to allow herself to be open to experiencing more types of sensation and giving you feedback. And then when she can give you the feedback, it'll make her feel more confident, and she'll begin to feel more pleasure. And that's how you kind of break that cycle of her kind of rigidness around only this one thing, because there's a million paths to pleasure. And they're different every time you make love. Once you get to that confidence and experience and activation and transmutation of pain into pleasure, and understanding that you cannot perform under pressure, and it is not. And here's another thing that I think is really important. This is one of my non-negotiables. I've got a couple.
I was about to ask you, what are your sexual non-negotiables?
One of them is that when I'm done, I'm done. If I'm like, I'm complete, I need to be done now. I'm complete. Like, I don't owe my partner an ejaculation. That's not what I'm here for. He can ejaculate himself anytime he wants. He can masturbate. He can pleasure. And he does that all the time too.
Yeah.
So there's no need for me to do that. That's not my job.
Yeah.
My job is to show up and be my wonderful self and have a really good time until I don't, and then stop. So the first one was I must be the penetrator. The second one was, I don't owe you an ejaculation. And the third one is, when I'm done, I'm done. And it could be that I'm done and I just need a break. It could be I'm done and I need you to just tuck me in and I'm going to bed now. So those have really helped me feel more in control. And when you are abused, you need to feel in control. You need to feel safe. You need to feel sovereign. You need to feel in control. And you do need to be able to use your words. So going back to the young woman who's like, I wouldn't even know what to say. That's where working with a therapist is very, very helpful, because they can give you verbatims that you can memorize. Because when you get into fight or flight, you can't even think.
Everything goes out the window.
Everything. So when you memorize things, you feel more resourceful and able to cope with a moment when you are afraid and get through it. Take a break. I need to take a break. We can revisit. Let me just stop for a moment and, you know, catch my breath. I'm feeling a little spun out here. You know, that kind of thing.
Give me a moment. Something that I've talked a lot about with my partner is the responsibility for the partner of someone who's had a lot of trauma to be able to shut it down. And shut it down in the sense of, like, you still might be really into it and your partner might be having a full dissociation. They don't want to be there anymore. They're shrinking into themselves. And you're like, I'm horny. And you have to be able to just shut it down. And maybe that means walk out of the room. Maybe it means you need to use the restroom and then come back. And I feel like that's a really interesting thing too, of the responsibility of the other partner of somebody who's had a lot of trauma, and not for it to be a heavy thing or a weighted thing, but just let's
take a break.
We're keeping your partner safe.
And also, I think it's not even for being in partnership with people who've been traumatized. It's for all people.
Yes.
Everybody needs to have timeouts, take a break. One of the things that we like to do when we make love is we make love for a while. We do the expanded orgasm practice. Here's another non-negotiable for me too. I don't pressure myself to get turned on. So one of the great things about my relationship with Tim and other partners that I have is that I don't need to be turned on to start my lovemaking date, because we know how to get me there. We have done that heavy lifting so many times together that as long, and I know he's not going to hurt me, and I know I'm going to be happy when I did it in the end, and I might not be ready, but I will lay down with him and we will do expanded orgasm practice, yoni massage type of a thing. And often it'll start out with him holding me and us just connecting, me telling him about my day, us catching up with each other, dropping in, relaxing, slowing down. And then sometimes I need to hear what he loves about me. I need a lot of encouragement, verbal appreciation and encouragement. And I notice that my male partners don't need that as much as my female partners. Like, I think we women really need that a lot more, where our male partners, they want to know they're doing a good job and that they're respected for a job well done, that you respect them and that they're doing a good job. Like, that's what guys tend to want, where women, we want to be adored and encouraged and not just objectified. It's not like, oh, your boobs are so beautiful, or, you know, that kind of stuff, or your butt looks great. It's also, that deal you did was fantastic. You know, dinner last night tasted so good. You're such a good cook. It's about everything about us that we want to be appreciated. And so we have a game that we play. It's called Tell Me 3 Things That You Love About Me. It's called 3 Things I Love About You. And I have unlimited requests with my husband for that. Unlimited. I can ask him whenever. And I like to hear what he loves about me a lot. I really need that. And so I'll say, tell me 3 things. And he'll say, well, okay, let's see. Right now, what I love about you the most is, and then he'll think about what we've been doing lately and what's going on and how he feels about me. And he'll tell me 3 things. And that calms me down. And it makes me feel loved, and it makes me it makes my arousal come a little sooner. And then he'll give me a yoni massage, and I'll just wait. And sometimes I lay there and I go, oh, it's taking you a while today. And then I'll be like, that's fine. Bring yourself back to the sensation. You'll get there. No problem. You don't worry. And if you don't have to go any further. And so just get back in, get your head back into the mindfulness of lovemaking. That meditative mindfulness of sensation, of heart connection. Remember why you love him. Remember this man who's sitting here rubbing your yoni with your favorite intimacy oil. And he loves you so much, and he's done this 1,000,000 times, and he's going to do it 1,000,000 more, and he will be fine if you can't get there. And as soon as I get myself to that, then I get out of that fight, flight, freeze, feed, you know, sympathetic nervous system, and I can get back into my parasympathetic nervous system, which is what allows spit to run, eyes to water, vagina to lubricate, breasts to let down, body to calm down. That all comes from that parasympathetic relaxation. If we don't get that, we can't enjoy our lovemaking.
Yeah. I really like what you said about the verbal affirmations, but making sure that they're not just about your body.
Exactly.
Because when someone says that to me, like, oh, like, your butt looks really good, or whatever it might be, I'm like, I hate you.
That's pressure.
Like, get away from me. I don't, like, and they think they're saying a nice thing, and that, you know, they're, like, complimenting you. But I'm like, nope.
Especially in, like, a sexual sense.
Yeah, I'm like, I hate you so much. Like, like, that's not being nice. I don't like that. So I do like that you said that, because I think for a lot of women, like, we get those types of compliments, and we think we should just be like, oh, thank you. But then you just feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it's because you need other real rooted compliments, you know, that aren't just about how
it's about how smart you are.
Yeah.
And your accomplishments and your kind heart and things like that, your talents, your skills. That's what we want as well. There are a lot of women who do want to be objectified. They want to know they're hot and sexy. They need to hear that. So everyone's different. And it's good to let your partner know that when they're telling you the three things, to keep them less objectification and more appreciation and encouragement.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously it's nice to hear, oh, like, you look beautiful and things like that. But it's like, I don't know, there's like a time and a place for some reason.
Yep.
And if it's said at the wrong time, I immediately just like retract. I'm like, nope.
Yeah, I know.
So what I'm hearing is that you shouldn't just put it in, and you shouldn't even just go right to touching. It starts first with establishing that emotional connection and reminding each other why you're with one another, and that will lead to a better physical connection.
Yeah. Sometimes starting with a foot rub and a how was your day is a really nice place to start. The pleasure centers of our feet are very close to the pleasure centers of our genitals in our brain. And so it brings blood flow and oxygenation into the brain toward the areas of your genitals. And so foot rubs are a really good thing.
Who knew?
I know. It's like pre-foreplay.
Yeah.
Pre-foreplay is very important. I don't really even like that whole notion of foreplay and sex, because I feel like then everything is kind of focused on that, you know, sex is for procreation only and only thing that matters is intercourse. It's like, that's so patriarchal. And on the other hand, okay, those are the terms we use. So what is foreplay and what's pre-foreplay? Pre-foreplay is the lying down, the making the room nice, the setting the lover's space. How's the temperature? What music do we want? Do we have a pitcher of water? Is my favorite lube here? Do we have a stack of hand towels? Is the fascinator on the bed? Is my phone ringer off? Like the worst thing, like when you're going, like that is not good. All of those things, the lighting and all of those things are very, very important, especially for sensitive people. We really need that. And generally on the spectrum of female to male, females need a lot more of a tidy space and, soft sheets, and we get colder. You've got to, adjust the temperature for your comfort and things like that. Like when Tim is giving me a yoni massage, often I have a little blankie over the top part of me while he's down there working his magic on my yoni, getting the blood flow and getting the sensation started and getting me out of my head and into my body. Because we're estrogen dominant, and because we're prey, right? And we've been preyed upon, we've got our reticular activation system. It's very heightened for those of us that have been abused. And so it's extra hard for us to settle into connection, into physical connection and that kind of thing. And so the more that everything around us in our lover space is right, and we have that slow beginning that allows us the 20 or 30 minutes it takes us to get to the point where we desire things like oral or intercourse. And another thing I think is really helpful, in addition to the kind of G-spot awakening and female ejaculation and things like that, is breast pleasuring.
Talk to us about that.
Tell me more.
This is on our heart. It's our part of our heart, our breasts. And the lips and mouth and tongue and throat and neck, tip of the nose, erectile tissue is in there. And and we salivate, and salivating is a relaxation. Like, as I say it makes my spit run. And then our breasts and our nipples, our sternum, our chest, our collarbones, all of this is underneath of our boobs, not just necessarily, don't grab our nipples. Don't grab our yoni. You're not turning us on like a switch, right? It's the sensual, the brushing, the softness, those kinds of things, like holding my boob up, things like that I really like. And sometimes a lot of times, Tim will lean back against the bed and I'll put a pillow on his belly. He'll spread his legs. I'll lean back against him and he'll rub my neck and my shoulders. And then he'll give me a breast massage. And that will relax me enough that I can then want to take more steps toward intimacy. Because your lips, your mouth, your breasts and nipples, and your genitals are a system. They work together. And when someone goes directly for our genitals and they haven't touched our breasts and they haven't kissed us, then that's too fast, too much, overwhelming for us. And so the slowness, the kissing on the cheeks, the eyelids, the neck, the lips, no tongue at first, the light touch of breast pleasuring, these kinds of things, they help us calm and get turned on.
I feel like that's just really good advice in general for sexual assault survivors too, and just that question of how do you even begin to be intimate with somebody again, and start that process. And if you are able to find someone that you do feel safe with and comfortable with, which can be a very difficult thing to do, that reminder of like, you don't have to go from like 0 to 100,
right? And
you shouldn't, like, that's just not really expected. And that's what we see in movies,
that's
right?
That's what porn is.
Exactly.
It's
so
that's for the
weird.
male gaze. That's for men to masturbate to. That's not what women want.
Not at all, but it's just skewed everything. And you think that, but it's just such good advice of like, hey, it's okay to slow down. Hey, like, it's okay. Like, just, if you feel like a little unsure, you don't know what you want, like, just lie in bed with each other.
Yes.
And just like take that time. It doesn't have to be sex the whole time.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be that.
I also love that it's not weird to set your space up in a way. Like, once again, it's certainly a movie thing to like, oh, you walk in the door and you're kissing on the wall, and then your pants there's a trail of your clothes from the front door all the way to the bedroom, and you can hardly wait to get there. And like, I'm sure that sometimes happens, but for a lot of times, like, it's okay to set your space up. Before you cook, you have to clean, and you have to get the bowls out and all of the utensils. And, sometimes I feel like, oh, my feet are a little cold. Like, let me just pull the blanket up a little bit. And that's okay to pull the blanket up and turn this light off and turn this music on. And just, I'm going to be sitting here thinking about my dirty laundry the whole time. So let me just, put it in the closet. And then we can begin. And that's okay to take the time and the space.
We call it the nest.
Nesting.
And a lot of times I'll say to Tim, I think I'd like to have a date this afternoon. Will you set up the nest? And then that gets him in the shower, grooming, setting up the nest, turning on the fireplace. We have a fireplace in our bedroom, which is really nice. Highly recommend. I'll show you my bedroom before you go.
Yes.
Yeah, the lover space. Setting the lover space. I learned that from my mentor, Dr. Patty. And a big part of it is the setting for the yoni massage, which is there's a Zafu cushion that Tim sits up on. We butterfly my legs. There's pillows under my legs. I've got my little blankie for the top. He wears these kind of fisherman pants, these Japanese fisherman pants that kind of wrap around and they're soft cotton so that his leg fur doesn't scratch my belly when he's, so that I'm covered over that way. We have our favorite intimacy oils that we use that have some CBD in it, which I really like CBD intimacy oil because 2 reasons. Number 1, sexual lubricants are like ultra processed foods now.
Yeah,
they
so
used to, they're gross.
They're disgusting.
They're so disgusting.
Yeah.
They're all chemicals. Like the top 30 brands, there's not one that doesn't have multiple unpronounceable ingredients in it. And so, they're an FDA class 2 regulated product like a food, but like, I'm not going to put that in my own
anything. That does not mean they're safe in any way.
It doesn't feel good either.
No.
Like they feel like the same way that microwavable frozen food feels, but on your coochie.
Exactly. So I like intimacy oil that's pure nut oils like jojoba and things like that, and that, or a sweet almond or what have you, with CBD, because it's so interesting how many CB2 receptors there are in our genital tissue. And that's our endocannabinoid system. And what's interesting is that CBD is not psychoactive. It's not like THC, but it leverages our pleasure healing pathway. And when we use that, it activates a level of systemic healing for us. In addition to creating smoothness and slide and glide and all of those kinds of things. So it's really, really nice to use intimacy oils that are pleasurable. I have, and I'll give you some of these before you go. I have a little.
Best day ever, Susan.
I know. It's like coming
just,
to
like, stay here
it's
for
like
a
coming to
little while.
grandma's house, but she's a sexpert and she gives you sex toys and intimacy oil. It's at loversbundle.com for your listeners and viewers. And none of it's psychoactive at loversbundle.com. There are vitality gummies and stamina gummies. And the vitality gummies and stamina gummies and capsules are libido botanicals. So they help with blood flow, hormone and neurotransmitter production. And then you've got the CBD in the intimacy oil. And all of that goes toward increasing sensation so you can feel more pleasure. It like amplifies the signals so your body can be like, oh yeah, I feel like I have more desire. I feel more pleasure from the touch. And that helps for people that have had abuse who struggle to stay in sensation and feel pleasure as well.
I mean, I'm loving all of this.
Good.
Something that I really would like to talk about a little bit more is this sort of connection between trauma and dissociation.
Yeah.
And how trauma causes that.
Oh yeah.
I know that you've obviously experienced a lot of so many heavy experiences in your life. I don't know if going back to those moments would be helpful to talk about trauma and dissociation, or if you could just talk about that as a whole.
Yeah. So dissociation is when you basically emotionally and mentally check out. It's almost like you just cannot sustain thinking about, feeling, or experiencing sexuality. And so you just almost go blank. It's like you get amnesia. It's like you leave the place. You're gone. And it's a coping mechanism for trauma. When things got too overwhelming, you checked out. Another issue that happens for women or people, but it's generally women, who have been traumatized is that we can't feel because we block sensation. And so it's very hard for us to get to this point of, reawakening those pathways because we've just attenuated it. We've like cut off the sensation. Another issue that happens is that when you've been abused, sexually traumatized, often it feels good, even though you're being traumatized. And then you have guilt about feeling pleasure, like you did something wrong because it felt good what your abuser was doing. And that, in some ways, I think that's almost the worst. It was the worst part of it for me was like your body felt like it betrayed you.
Yeah.
You know, that is really, really hard. But you cannot blame yourself for that. Your body is built to feel pleasure from sensation, from touch. Your genitals are built to feel pleasure from being touched. So it's not anything you did wrong. You can't control that. And the good news is that if you go back to before you were traumatized, and you remember who you are deep inside you, you can come back to your sovereign core being. You can remember who you were before you were hurt. And you can re-access those states. And it was interesting. I wore this necklace today for our conversation because this was my great-grandmother's necklace. And I wanted to bring her into this space. And I wanted to bring her into this space because I come from a long line of amazing people. And no abuser can ever take away who I come from, the strength of my family, the person I was born to be. And when I wear my great-grandmother's necklace, I am reminded of who my people are. And that poor little girl who was abused did not deserve any of that.
Yeah.
The fact that my parents knew it happened and did not protect me. My mother is 87. She's very frail. And even, I'm going to say like a couple months ago, she said to me, "When I die, I will go to my grave feeling so sad that you told me what happened and I couldn't do anything about it. I didn't do anything about it." And I said, "Mommy, I don't blame you at all. I completely understand that you could barely manage yourself and you were so young when that happened to me.
Yeah.
And don't die thinking that you did anything wrong. I know you loved me. You raised me to be the amazing young woman that I am. And I hold no animosity, anger, frustration. I release you completely from that. I hold no grudge against you. So don't hold one against yourself. I understand what you were up against. I understand what we were up against. And so I hope she will pass letting that go. I don't think she will. My mother was traumatized. Her father was an alcoholic, and she never went to therapy. She never dealt with her trauma. The way she dealt with it was white flour and sugar. It ruined her gut. She's had she's had a very long and painful and uncomfortable old age because of that. And I think that that's what made me just like deal with my stuff in a lot of different ways, so that I could move through it. It never stops being part of your life. You are informed. Yeah. You are trauma informed in that way, you know? But it doesn't have to rule you. You can go on to have incredible sex, incredible relationships, incredible pleasure, and you can notice when it hits you, and you can do compromises like, I married super safe to keep me safe.
Yeah.
And I need that. My number one relationship value is security. My number two is freedom. My number three is honesty. And my number four is passion. Once I realized how good sex is for me, how good I feel, how much younger I feel, how much more energetic I feel, how it gives me oxytocin.
Yes.
This is one of the reasons why practicing being touched in ways that feel appropriate is so important. And that is that when we generate oxytocin, which we generate from skin-to-skin contact, we generate it from touch. Oxytocin does a number of things, one of which is that it bonds you to people. Yes, that's kind of what we know about it, like you get it from breastfeeding and things like that. But the other thing that it does is it makes you feel awe. Awe is a human emotion. It's one of our pro-social emotions. Awe is something you can't really feel when you're oxytocin depleted. Can you imagine not going through life feeling the awe of a beautiful sunrise, of a piece of music that brings you to tears, of a precious moment with a loved one, of moving your body to dance or watching a ballet or eating food that moves you to tears? That's what awe does. And when we're traumatized and we can't be touched, we can't generate oxytocin, and then we can't have the depth of feeling of awe and love that other people get who aren't traumatized. So at the very least, fighting for feeling good about being held and loved and touched and getting over the trauma, moving through the trauma, dealing with it and managing it and coming to terms with it and all of those things, but also getting what you deserve.
Right.
That's why doing the work is so important.
I think it can take a long time to, like, after being sexually traumatized, to remember that, like, you deserve to feel good.
Yes.
And you deserve to feel safe.
Yes.
And you deserve to be excited about physical intimacy with somebody.
Yeah.
And somebody might have temporarily made you feel otherwise, but it's time to remember and remind yourself that you deserve to feel good and you deserve to feel safe in intimate moments.
Another thing that I did that really helped me, I'm giving you a lot of the things that I did, because, once you hear someone's journey, like G-spot awakening and, giving myself time and managing my own penetration and all my non-negotiables and things like that. And one of the things that I did that was really, really helpful, I worked with a lovely man, Guy Sengstock, when I was probably in my early 40s, when I was doing a lot of my trauma rehab, because I had stuffed it for a long time. I stuffed it, I just I didn't know how to deal with it. And he said, okay, here's one of the things I want to do. I want you to go home and I want you to make a list of all of the abuses and the injustices that you have experienced. And I want you to ststart from the day you were born. And I know.
You're like, Guy, this is going to take a long time.
How much paper do you have? He said, I want you to write, and I want you to start from the day you were born, even before you were born, if you have memory of that or experience of that you want to share. And I want you to go through every single year of your life, and I want you to write down every single abuse, trauma, horrible thing that happened to you. And then the next time you come back, I want you to read them all to me.
Wow.
And I said, I'm afraid to do that. I'm going to get a really bad herpes outbreak from that. That's going on the list. The guy that cheated with me and gave me herpes in my 20s, that
oh my gosh,
creep. Just one of the many things. And he said, you're not going to get herpes. I'm going to tell your body right now that you're going to be fine and that it's going to be cathartic for you to let this out and that it's not going to make you feel sick. And he just put his hands on me and he thought about, he did his little meditative type of a thing. And he just held me there for a minute. And he said, you're going to be fine. You can do this. It is time. And then I came back the next week, and for an hour and a half, you know how Santa has that scroll, and when he lifts up the scroll and it rolls out, and it's like every little kid in the world and everything he's going to give every little kid in the world. It's like this longest scroll that could go around the world. That is literally kind of what I brought to my session was I was like a stack of paper, with all of the injustices. And it was just unbelievably shocking how many shitty things were done to me. Just day after day after day after day of injustices and traumas and beatings and rapes and, everything. And it really helped a lot for someone to witness all of my trauma.
Yeah.
It cleared a lot out for me. It was one of the many bricks in the wall of the reparation that I needed to make to become more whole again.
Yeah.
It was hard, but it wasn't that hard.
Yeah.
I must have been ready.
you do have to be ready to heal. That is definitely for sure. But I think it's funny. It's not funny. I think it's interesting. Like the amount of times that, you know, me and Shannon will be having a conversation or we're talking with a guest or whoever it might be. And I'm like, I remember this other thing that happened, you know, that I haven't thought about in 4 years.
Right.
You know, like it just gets shoved down with all the rest and it gets lost in all the mix. And then you're like, oh yeah, like I forgot that happened. That was fucked up.
That was fucked up.
But I think that, if you like sit down and like write all those out, it's kind of like an exposure therapy almost. And you acknowledge what's happened, but then you also get to share that with another person.
You get someone to go, I am so sorry.
Yeah.
I cannot believe what you went through as a little baby, as a little girl. Oh my God, it's just terrible. You did not deserve any of that. It is awful how terrible people are. Can you believe that this person who was supposed to take care of you and protect you did all of these things to you? It's just stunning how horrible people are.
Yeah.
Really stunning. But they are. And we can get through it and we can recover and we can reclaim our sexuality, our sovereignty, our confidence, our pleasure, our connection, our awe. Our awe. Awe is so nice. I really love awe. It was interesting. Yesterday I was talking to my publicist. And you had asked me, how many podcasts do you do? And I was like, well, I've done over 1,000. I often joke
all
that
of them.
my epitaph, you know, what they put on your gravestone is called your epitaph, and that my epitaph would be, she had a lot to say. It was funny because I was talking to my publicist, and I love him because he creates all these wonderful opportunities for me to go and tell my stories and to teach people things, and it's so nice. And I was writing a new pitch for him. And one of the things that was in it was your gen ratio. He's like, what is gen ratio? And I said, well, it's interesting. It was, it's a Japanese word. And a wonderful man, a professor at UC Berkeley, Dr. Keltner, he ran a think tank for the college that was about pro-social emotions, those positive emotions that we have, like awe. And your gen ratio is how many things you do in a given time period, let's just say a day or a week or a month, that are positive and lift people up versus negative and tear people down. And I said, your gen ratio is that. It's how much of the positive are you creating in the world? And he said, Suze, I've never met a person with a bigger gen ratio than you. I've never met anyone who lifts people up more than you do. All day long, every day, with all the things you do, you are lifting people up. And I thought, man, that's maybe the nicest compliment I've ever gotten. Especially when you think about my Santa scroll of trauma and how I'm not allowing my transgressors to ruin my life. I took back my life. I took back my pleasure. I took back my awe. I took back all of it. And I forgave people who didn't protect me. And this is another really tough thing. And that is that I actually have compassion for the people that hurt me. You're like,
that's a hard thing.
I just saw you go.
It's like, no.
You just went, how do you do it?
Like, I believe it's possible, but it's very hard to get there.
It is possible. And the reason that it is, and here's how I got there, and it really helps a lot. It like writing all this stuff down, witnessing, you know, getting control over things, owning my pleasure, my husband protecting me. Like, I've done so many different things and lots of other stuff too.
Very intentional.
Yeah,
I mean, you heal by accident.
No, you work your way. You work your way, and you know what? Your next step finds you when you're on the journey. Like when Guy said to me, "The next thing I want you to do is this," I would have never thought about it. And he's like, "You're ready for it. You can do this."
Yeah.
I probably couldn't have done it a year before that, but working with him, he knew I was ready to do it.
Yeah.
And the compassion really helps because you gain power from the compassion. So when I think about my stepfather and I think about the crappy shit he did to me, the nasty fucker he was. Yeah. Oh, and he was the principal of a high school, an elementary school, and it was an all-black elementary school, and he was this white guy, and he would come home and talk about the jigaboos and the jungle bunnies, and he would like spit hatred about the children he was supposed to take care of. And he was raping me and making me go to churches with him of the people in his school who would be like, we should invite the principal to church. And he would take me, because my mother wouldn't go. She was like, I'm not going. Yeah. And he would take me and act all pious and then rape me when we got home. Like, unbelievable. That's what made me an atheist. When I saw that this is all just bullshit and I can't trust any of these fuckers. Right. But the compassion was so empowering, because I was like, well, who do I feel bad for? I feel bad for myself. Who do I feel worse for? That fucker.
Yeah,
that's creepy piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he was the horror. I was the innocent bystander.
Yeah.
And I am good. Yeah. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm having great sex. I got a great marriage. I've been married for 34 years. My daughter is amazing. I've helped millions of people. Yeah. And I've got a good gen ratio and a lot of awe and incredible orgasms. And I get to talk with you guys and help other people. And when you think about all that, like, who won?
You.
I won.
Yeah.
I won. And did it make me stronger? I think it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is, there's just hope for everybody, and you wend your way through your journey of what you can't do is let it ruin you.
Right.
You can't let your trauma do what happened to my mother, which was go to her grave with regrets, dying a long, slow death of painful health through unmitigated trauma. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not when we have so many modalities.
Yeah. I say it all the time.
I know. I was waiting for you to say it. I was like, Shannon's going to say it.
What is it, Shannon?
It's not my quote. It's from a book I read a long time ago. I really should. I need to go and look up the actual name of the author, but it's been so long. I don't say this. She said this.
Okay.
It's not your fault if you're fucked up. It's your fault if you stay fucked up.
Yes.
And you cannot go around your life taking your dumpster fire and throwing it at everybody around you, making everybody miserable.
Yeah.
It sucks that someone chose to hurt you.
Yep.
It is so upsetting that you didn't ask for these things and they happen anyways.
Yep.
But as you said, you can live a brilliant, incredible life. Yeah. And this bullshit that somebody spewed onto you and this way that they fucked you up does not have to be your forever fucked upness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I will say, from all the incredible conversations we have had with people like you, everyone says that. Everyone is has gone through the most fucked up, terrible trauma that you could ever possibly think of.
Yeah.
And they made it through, and they're doing incredible things with their lives, and they've found joy, and they've found happiness. They've found meaningful relationships that they never thought they would be able to, and it's so hopeful. And it's, it can be hard to be in this space sometimes, and to, be working with trauma survivors and talking to trauma survivors, and then also dealing with your own trauma and healing. But it also
You're very
is
brave.
Thank you. But it's very uplifting because it shows that you can move forward.
Yeah.
And it takes time, it hurts, and it's hard, and it's exhausting, but you can move forward. Yeah. And you can do something good.
Yeah. Thank you, Susan, so much for everything.
My pleasure.
We'll link everything for you down below, but could you just tell our listeners where to find your resources and everything that you have to offer them?
Yeah. The easiest way to get a hold of me is to go to betterlover.com. I have an email newsletter that I send out twice a week from betterlover.com. If you sign up for my newsletter, then any email that you get from me that is my newsletter, if you reply to that, it goes right to my inbox, and I will answer your question. It doesn't have to be about what the newsletter is about. It's just how you get into my inbox if you have a question. And often the questions that you ask me are things that many, many people have struggled with. What you think is weird or, something unusual is likely, I probably have I have a video to tell you what to do about that, or here's a free ebook, or here's some articles, or I give you a solution. I give you some ideas. I, try to help you out. And I think that's what's made me good at what I do is the gift of your questions. So, I'm not a therapist, and I'm not a trauma-informed specialist or any of those kinds of things. I'm a passionate love-making techniques person, but I will do whatever I can to help you if you need any help with that. And you might just enjoy the newsletter. So that's the best place to get me. You can find me on Instagram as well. That's my name. You have to smush it all together. Susan Bratton, all one word, and you'll find me. Because sometimes people will try to, impersonate me or whatever, and it'll put dashes and things in. So it's just Susan Bratton, all one word. So thank you both for coming to my studio. This was fun and really nice and great questions. And thank you for the work that you're doing in the world to help others too.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in today's episode. We love you guys so much. If you like this episode, be sure to rate the show so that we know that you enjoy it and we can keep making stuff like this. If you want to follow us on socials, it is all at What They Don't Say Official. If you want to send us an email, if you have an episode idea, a question, a comment, anything like that, our email is whattheydon'tsay@gmail.com. We love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for having us, Susan.
My pleasure.
We'll catch you on the flip side. Cheers.
Cheers.